We did a lot of fishing, man. We fished and fished and fished.
Yeah.
We didn't catch much. To go on some little jungle cruises up into the mangroves,
Uh-huh.
and I know all these guys using live baits, these cheaters. You know, even in some of the glory days, there was still a lot of pollutants. Of course, we had a lot of clams and stuff back then. Once the clams were gone, the water got even worse. The difference in the bottom between back then and now is like night and day. Back then it was like crystal clear water. We would swim in the Banana River all the time.
Yeah.
But now there's grass coming back.
Right.
So, and that's what you want to see. You know, you want that light penetration to hit the bottom and get that grass growing again. Just like this project is, you know, one person can make a huge difference.
This is the Connected by Water podcast, fueled by Papa's Pilar Rum, who remind us never to be a spectator. And protected by Starbright, where it's always Starbright season. Special thanks to our sponsors, Seaward Systems, Holokai, Parchview, and Lingchini for their great support of our show. This special edition travel episode was recorded on location with our legendary guest.
My dear friend, my dear friend, Dave Ferrell.
Yes, sir.
How was the fishing yesterday?
We did a lot of fishing, man.
We did a lot of fishing.
We did the point of the whole endeavors to go
Right.
fishing, and we fished and fished and fished.
Yeah.
We didn't catch much.
We didn't catch much.
But I had a great time with you.
Yeah, it was
I'll
nice.
be honest with you.
It was nice.
We got to go on some little jungle cruises up into the mangroves,
Uh-huh.
and I know all these guys using live baits, these cheaters. We're catching some fish inshore and around the islands, but they didn't get to see the stuff that we got to see.
Right,
So
that's true. That's true. Thanks for having me on your show a couple weeks ago.
it was great to have you. Can't
Yeah.
wait till you come back.
Yeah, man.
I hope you can do it whenever
that was
you
a good
can.
time. So it's a pretty cool event, don't you think, being here?
I think it's awesome. You know, when I was a kid, my first house that I lived in was in Satellite Beach, so I was very cognizant of what was going on with the rivers and the lagoons back then, even in the
Right.
80s, you know, the late 70s. You know, this is not a new problem. It's been an ongoing issue for quite a while. Even when it was, you know, even in some of the glory days, there was still a lot of pollutants
Mm-hmm.
going into the river. And of course, we had a lot of clams and stuff back then. And once the clams were gone, the water got even worse.
Yeah, it just started going downhill from
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
That's what makes this project so important, really. You know, is just bringing it back. You know, it's got to feel good from a guy that's grown up in this area to see
Oh, yeah.
that
It's-
happening here.
Yeah, it's amazing. And, you know, I was one of those little bridge kids, you know, hung
Yep.
over Pineda Causeway and Mathers Bridge at the end of Merritt Island. And I'd get on my bicycle and, you know, the difference in the bottom between back then and now is like night and day, you
Yeah.
know, and the water clarity, you know, back then it was like crystal clear water. We would swim in the Banana River all the time
Yeah.
with no worries about anything. You know, it was just pristine, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And even then, you know, we'd have times when the grass would die off in the wintertime and the river would smell, and that's just the way it is. You know,
Right.
a lot of this lagoon system, you know, a lot of these guys will talk about, you know, letting more salt water in and whatnot. But it did pretty well when it wasn't getting salt water, as long as there wasn't a whole lot of people putting stuff in it.
Right.
You know, and it's a different ecosystem than even close here to the inlets versus up where I was fishing in the north end of the Indian River and the
Sure.
Banana River lagoons.
They
were
were
meant to-
lagoon up that way.
Yeah, it was meant to be not as salty.
Okay.
You know, and you get different plants growing in there. You get different species of fish that like it. And so it's kind of a fine balance, you know, between the two, how salty we want it to be and how brackish we want it to be.
We've seen some efforts up in that area too, in the Banana River and the Mosquito.
Yes.
Have you seen a lot of bounce back right there?
Tons.
Yeah.
It's come back quite a bit. You know, there was
Okay.
places where I'd fish, you know, in Scottsmore back in the day where I would wade that had a ton of grass on the bottom, and then it just went away. It was
Wow.
pure sand, and I'd go up there to try to catch trout and whatnot. They just
Yeah.
weren't there like they used to be.
Like a desert, huh?
But now there's grass coming back.
Right.
So, and that's what you want to see. You know, you want that light penetration to hit the bottom and get that grass growing again. Because if the light can't get to the grass, it's not going to grow.
Yeah, we had Blair on just a few minutes ago, and we were talking about how, a lot of people can look at the environment, doom and gloom, and think that there's nothing we can do about it, but we can do something about it.
Yeah.
The earth is resilient. It will bounce back if we put forth the effort to help it out a little bit.
Yeah. And, just like this project is, one person can make a huge difference.
For sure. Definitely.
It's just, it's just amazing what she's been able to do and getting all this stuff
with
together.
Corey, she's outstanding.
Yeah, she's amazing.
You're right. Magic.
Yeah, and if you can, the power of her passion is what brings all these people.
That's it. That's it. It's infectious.
She makes you want to come and do these things, and that's the kind of
I'm
person
glad you're
you
bringing
need.
that up, because she is the queen bee of all this, and she is the one that she is the reason that this is happening. Really.
Yes.
There's contributors and players, and there's the scientists, and then there's the anglers and the captains and the fishermen, but really, none of this would have started without her.
And that, like I said, that's the power of one person.
Yeah.
With not only the passion, but the wherewithal and, the gumption, which I sorely lack most of the time, is to get out and do stuff like this. It's fantastic. And what she's doing for this river is fantastic. And it'll be rippling down for ages,
Yeah. And we got the CCA here.
Yeah.
Right.
CCA.
And they're throwing their
Star
hats in
Brites,
the ring.
throwing a lot of money at this thing. And, those, you just can't do this kind of stuff without it.
Yeah.
And
it does take money. It does take effort. It's really important to bring that up.
Yeah.
Nothing happens without a little bit of financial backing.
Right.
And, Gregor and Starbright, they've never hesitated to just go all in.
He's such a good dude.
He really is. He
grew up on the water here, and, he knows, the Florida waterways. And,
Yep.
He wants to do something about it. And, again, there's another one guy who really wants to do something about it, and it's making a difference.
Yeah, and it's important that guys like you come and show out for this. And, and your voice in the industry.
I'm the least of the effort. I
I
tend to go that way.
Your voice and your presence alone, just being here, tells a story.
Well, I wouldn't miss it when they called me up and asked me to be here. I said, of course, I would do anything they wanted me to do. So.
100%. Well, thank you very much, man, for sitting with me.
No worries. Thanks for going fishing with me yesterday.
You kidding me? Let's do it again, please.
Anytime.
Yeah, maybe we'll get some live bait next time.